to ThNOT. Welcome to Thursday Night on Tour. I'm your host, Nick Cartell, and with me I have JT Wood.
Andrew Maughan.
That's right. Hi, Amanda.
And Amanda left.
I know, this is so we've got two people. We're doing the whole thing. I've got this one ready for you here. So we are going to chat with these two fine gentlemen, these two members of the ensemble who are also principal understudies who happen to be leaving us.
Yep.
At the end of this week.
Last week.
So consider this your exit interview.
Great. Can't wait. Oh, God.
Perfect.
But yeah, so listen, I use Thursday nights as an opportunity to kind of show folks out there that might not know what we do, all the different parts of the job and what it's like being on tour. And so I guess, JT, let's start with you. Where did you go to school? And yeah, let's start there.
I went to Otterbein University in Ohio.
Great. Andrew?
I went to University of Utah and Indiana University.
Fantastic. Okay, and did you both go for a performance, like singing, or like somebody have a business degree that I don't know about?
Oh, God.
No,
Just
mine was vocal performance for me. So it was
Fantastic.
opera. Studied
Hi
opera.
there. So then, Andrew, let's start with you. Since you have like from an opera background,
Yes.
right? How did you make kind of the switch into the musical theater world?
You know, I always liked musical theater, and it was just sort of, it's different storytelling. Opera is much more slowed down, and musical theater is much more in real time. And I was doing a Candide in France, and the conductor that I worked with had done Les Mis on Broadway. And so when the auditions were coming out in 2017, I reached out to him, Jim Lau, and he made sure that I could get a tape in. And so from there, that's when I met you.
Yep.
And we did the auditions until the very end, and then we booked Les Mis. So
there we go.
I just made the switch from there to doing it full time.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
And JT, is musical theater something you always knew you wanted to do?
Yep. Since I was a kid.
Fantastic.
Yep. Since
Fantastic.
I was like 7 or 8.
And you have like other siblings that are in the industry as well.
I do. My sister is playing Eliza in Hamilton on Broadway right now.
Talented family. Talented family. Look at that. Look at that. So what was your audition experience like for this show?
I think I was one of the last people
Okay.
to audition just in general.
Because a lot of our journeys with Les Mis auditioning, it's like over multiple months.
Yes.
So what was yours like?
I just happened to be on a layoff.
What were you doing?
I was on tour with Rent, and it was like the final year of Rent.
Thanks,
and I was
Amanda.
playing
Hi,
Amanda. And we had the U.S. portion, and then we had like a week off, and then we did 2 weeks in Japan. And so that 1 week, I went in for Les Mis, and they were like, cool, if we need you to film stuff in Japan while you're there, like go ahead. But I literally did the audition, and then I was brought in immediately after to like do a callback just to put stuff on tape.
Yeah.
And they said they would call if they needed anything else, but the next thing I knew, I booked it.
You had a job.
Yeah.
You had a job. Amazing.
Next gig.
So, Andrew, I know that your journey with Les Mis started in 2017, like mine did. What was your journey like this time back around?
This time was different. We had a live audition for those of us that were in the cast last time, and I did that, and then I moved away to Denver at the end of March, and then they wrote me, literally I moved on Saturday, and on Tuesday they wrote me an email and said, can you come to New York? And I said, no, you know what I can do. Because at that point, I had done the show for 2 years and 3 months, and I had no money to fly out to New York at that point, and it was
COVID. It was COVID. You know what I mean?
And it was a risk to say, hey, you know what I do, but it worked out. So we're here. And I sent in a video again.
Yeah.
They wanted my Valjean stuff on tape, and I said, great.
There you go.
Recorded it,
that I can do.
And that was that. And so, now
here
I'm
we
back
are.
on tour. We're back.
And now we're coming to the end. So someone just asked a question. As an understudy, because you both understudy principals in the show, a Valjean understudy and a Marius understudy, how much notice do you get sometimes before you're going to be on in a show?
It varies.
Yeah.
It varies. Yeah.
What is the shortest amount of time that you've ever gotten?
Well, I did a mid-show swing on once. So like he called out after He called out like in the middle of the first act, so I knew I was going on. But he said he would stick it out till Act 1 and till Act 1 ended.
Yeah.
And then during intermission, I got ready.
There you
to go on. So that was probably the latest.
And Andrew, and I know this because I was the one that called out.
It was in Charleston, wasn't it? Or South Carolina somewhere.
Something like that.
In
Yeah.
March. It was super allergy season. It's terrible, and it was after the prologue. I was getting ready for at the end of the day. Had my garbage people cloak on, and then I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it was the stage manager beckoning me over, and we went and we switched it out after we did it all during.
Like
I dreamed a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually if because here's the thing. Here's the thing, is that you get shot out of a cannon right at the beginning of the show, and sometimes you, even though no matter how much you warm up, you don't know, especially if you're coming off of being sick or allergies or all the different things, what your voice is actually going to do until you get out there. I can warm up and it could still go to hell. So that was one of those times where I got to the end of the prologue and I was like, I will injure myself if I try to do this more, right? And so I think that what's great is that we have amazing understudies. They are like the saviors of our show that continue to make sure that we can do our jobs, and also they're ready to step in at a moment's notice and do it. So so thank you both for your service.
Of course.
JT, what is one of your what are you going to take away from doing a production like Les Mis, and for as long as you've done this? Is this the longest you've ever done a show?
This is the longest I've done a show since I graduated from college. Yeah. Oh gosh, I think that one of my biggest takeaways is I'm a very like anxious, timid person. But this built up my confidence so much. I remember from day one of the audition, I was like so nervous naturally going to the audition. I remember someone going in and singing the Angeras stuff and the material, and I was sitting there like, I don't sound like that. I don't know if I have the voice for Les Mis. And I don't know what happened, but at some point I was like, JT, your voice is your voice. You have
That's right.
exactly what the company is looking for.
Yeah.
And that's all you need is what you bring to the table.
Correct.
And it paid off, you know? And I think that was honestly out of 2 years now, 2 years and some change, that was one of the biggest lessons of like just trust, be yourself, which is like sounds like such a cliche, but it really isn't. Like go in and do what you do best.
Correct.
So yeah, I think that has helped reminding myself of that, and then going in when I've had to go on for Marius, I'm like, your Marius is.
So someone just asked, do you get anxious or do you get nervous when you go on in your understudy track?
Yes.
Anymore?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I actually do not.
Okay.
I was going to say right
there you
now,
go.
I think I've done it enough.
Yeah.
That I think it's almost second nature. I will say, like playing one track and understudying one, for me, I've been a swing before. And so just having one other track to cover, I was like, cool, this is
easy.
This is easy, you know. And so again, kudos to all the swings.
Yes.
Who are covering everyone.
And
you know.
I if you have anxiety, I'm so sorry.
No, trust me, I was about to say, I did
Yeah.
I was a swing once and said, cool, that's not for me.
Exactly. So same question to you, Andrew.
I do. I'm an anxious person. I overthink everything and anything, and so it's tricky to be a performer sometimes and to just move on past those emotions and to learn that sometimes emotions are not really happening, but they are still real emotions, and it's okay to like accept the anxiousness and then to kind of use that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like to use it for your impetus to get stage and to be there and to use that energy with your colleagues and to trust that they're gonna have your back as well
and channel that into the
I
character
was just about to say,
more.
channel the nerves.
I get asked all
Absolutely.
the time, like, do you still get nervous? And I'm like, I get excited now. Like, especially when I have people in the audience or people that I know.
Yeah.
That's when I get like those butterfly feelings, and I'm just trying to channel that into the role itself. So what is like a fond memory you will take with you?
It's I have so many.
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
I just did my 1500th show. So it's a lot. But Les Mis it gave me a new life. I was able to pay off my student loans.
Yeah.
It just paid for all my education, but also more than that, it gave me so many close friends. My wife is on this tour as well, and so we've been able to travel the whole tour with our dog, and we drive the whole tour, and it's just all those memories of just being together and getting to do this as a family, like our small little family. I think that's been the best thing to take away from this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, you always have your tour family.
Yeah.
It
is.
Someone asked, what songs did you sing for your auditions for Les Mis?
I was just brought in.
You just brought in with the
Marius
packet.
Understudy, and they gave me the
Just
material.
the material.
Yeah, just the material.
Just
so
the material.
I just did the prologue. Who am I?
There you go.
And
They didn't have to try to pull out a pop rock song for the Les Mis audition.
Thank God.
Andrew's favorite scene to do as JVJ and JT's favorite scene to do as Marius.
Oh, I really.
We got
like,
hard-hitting questions here.
These are
On this
intense,
live,
yeah.
hard-hitting
Yeah.
questions.
Who am I? It's such it's a you're arguing with yourself, your character, your own self is having the who am I?
Yeah.
Like, who am I, the animal? Am I the good guy? Like what am I going to do here?
Right.
And I just love getting to play those two emotions, and then ending on the big high B is fun. So it's just
He nails it.
Yep.
it's part of the
Yes.
opportunity. That's another thing. I do get anxious, but it's not about my technique or hitting the notes. That's not something I get anxious about. It's about the pacing, the words. I mess up words all the time, and it's just the whole aspect of the performance.
And you
But-
can't stop. You just got to keep
yeah,
going.
I
but
did
knowing your
that,
technique
yeah.
is solid,
Yeah.
that's what you need 100% for this type of show.
Correct.
You just got to be ready to go for 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
That's true.
There
But
you go. What's your favorite moment as Marius?
One of my favorite moments. I love doing the whole Barricade, but I love Little Fall of Rain for sure. Love doing Little Fall and just seeing
so good at it.
the end of that relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like what's fun is realizing and sort of looking back on how that relationship grew and what he took for granted. And so I think it's a beautiful moment. And Eponine's an iconic character. So
There you
in this
go.
musical, so it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
It's so much
Yeah,
fun.
and it's staged so beautifully too. Like it
Yes,
just kind of like everything
absolutely.
just kind of pulls in. So
For sure.
that makes it really, really great.
Yeah.
What were your first memories of? What are your first memories of Les Mis on this World Theater Day? That's right, World Theater Day.
right.
So thanks for tuning in. Happy World Theater Day.
Happy World Theater Day.
First memory, like what was your introduction to this show?
My introduction to
ahead.
the show, I remember I was in high school and I was doing like Joseph at my community theater.
And the amazing
And-
Technicolor Dreamcoat.
yes.
Go,
And a group of us came to my house and they were playing the 25th anniversary like it had aired.
25th anniversary.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep, there it is.
When you were in high school.
When you were in high
When I was
school.
in high school, yeah.
High school.
They did the 25th anniversary.
Here's my guest.
And I just remember like, what was it? It was like Alfie Bowie, like
Yep.
Yeah.
Ramin was Angel Ross,
Uh-huh.
Nick Jonas was Marius.
Yep.
And I just remember being like, what is this? What is this? And also very interesting that was my first impression of the show because it was concert, so it was a concert version. So
Right.
there were moments of action that didn't happen.
Right.
And so I remember seeing the show like for the first time, seeing the actual musical and being like, oh, that's what happens? Like, okay, cool. So yeah, I have no idea. But it was, it was fantastic. So
Yeah.
I was locked in.
My first time through was also the 25th anniversary because I was
Right.
more golden age musical in
Right.
the house,
Yeah.
Sound of Music, West Side Story, like that sort of
Well,
thing.
also because that was much more of an opera-based
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah,
You know what
and,
I mean?
We were choir people. Like I was in choir a lot, and that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to teach was high school choir, and so most of my training was in choral singing. And then I got a scholarship in opera, so I started doing that. And it was around that time when I started. I watched this video, and I was just Alfie Bowe's an opera singer. That's how he started. He was
Yeah.
also an opera singer.
Yep.
Studied at the Royal Academy, and I just looked at him. And I want to do that.
Yeah.
What is that? And it was, I didn't know it had a stage version. I only thought it was the concert version and
Yeah,
that was Les Mis. I thought that is Les Mis is the concert version. And so it wasn't until I saw the show and we were literally auditioning for it. That was the first time I saw like a live
Got it.
production of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Like
cool.
a professional one.
Someone asked, has the show ever had to stop to switch out an understudy? Like, has the show actually had to stop? And I don't
No.
think so.
I don't think so.
It's been pretty
I
seamless.
was
Knock
just
on
gonna say
all
that,
the
yeah.
things. It's been pretty seamless. Because usually, unless you are deathly ill backstage, you're like, vocally, I can get through this next little chunk,
Right.
or I can get through this to get to this. I think that Knock on the Barricade, indeed. I think that if we had to, they would, but they try not to because our show is so locked into a certain amount of time, and they can't go over that, or else everybody gets paid overtime except us.
The orchestra does, and the crew.
Yes.
Orchestra and the crew. We do not get paid overtime. Yeah. So there we go. I think, did I answer all the questions? Christine is on the other side, like keeping all the
helping out.
questions and like sending me questions. So final thoughts. What are your final thoughts about, is it better to sing something not from the show you're auditioning for? Okay. So if you're going to go in, say that you're going in for Les Mis, do you think it's better to sing something from the show or not from the show for your first audition?
Usually, I feel like at this point in the industry, they're very good about just telling you whether they want it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they don't, I would err on the side of like just bring in your book.
But prep
and
it.
Prep it for sure.
Yeah,
You never know what they're going to ask
Be
for in
ready
that
for
room.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was asked for 24601 at my first call.
Oh yeah.
I was asked for that first little, just the end of it. I was asked for
Yeah.
24601. Like I was asked for that after, and I
Yeah.
didn't sing from the show. Like I
Oh,
had
really?
something
That's
out. I
hilarious.
sang something else
No way.
completely, and then they
Wow.
asked me to sing some of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
but
It
I
really
think
depends. I think it
It
depends,
just depends
on
on where you are in the
the-
audition process.
I was going to say the audition process.
Yes.
If they're
and
specifically
where
like we
they
need this person.
not only
where
you
they
but
are.
where they
Yeah,
are
where
in
they
the
are.
audition
Exactly,
process,
where
because
they
they might
are.
be like, we are just looking for a Marius. We're not going to waste our time. We need to know if you can sing this material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, it varies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, any challenges with playing JVJ, and JT, any challenges playing Marius? And then I got to go let them get ready.
I mean, yeah, Jean Valjean's like a 2.5 hour role. It's a big sing at the beginning, so there's so much heavy singing at the beginning, so much full voice singing, and then out of nowhere they're like, and now here's Bring 'Em Home, and you have to sing falsetto and big notes in the middle of it, and it's at the end of the show, and it's the whole character arc, I think, is what's challenging of it, but that's what makes it so beautiful to play and to tell that story so many times. It's easy to do because it's so fulfilling. Like, it is challenging, but that's what makes it fulfilling for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JT?
What I find like challenging. Or,
Yeah, if there's any challenges playing Marius.
My Marius, I will say I do this to myself. My Marius is very energetic. And
He is very energetic.
He'd be running around.
He's all over.
So, but it's fun and it keeps me, energized and up and going. And, but I will say the first few times I did it, I was like, oh yeah, Marius doesn't stop really. Like he doesn't have a break.
Actually, whoever is playing Marius is on stage the most out of anybody else in the show. Marius has the most stage time out of anybody else from the ensemble track all the way through. There you go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it really hit when we started learning the tracks and we did the put in and
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, like we really,
calm down a little bit.
yeah, exactly. And so I think
doing too
it's
much.
been
Yeah.
it's been a fun challenge to gauge or to figure out when to take a break, when
Right.
to grab the water, and when to rev up.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we are going to miss you so much around here. I'm so glad that we get one more weekend all together. I'm going to let these two go because we all got to go ready to do a
Gotta
show.
get ready.
Thanks for tuning in. Tune in on Saturday night for ThNOT. We'll see you then. Happy World Theater Day!
Happy World Theater Day!
Bye.